let's talk about the UEFA Champions League. It was a really, really big week for Champions League football. What we know so far is that the Milan derby looks like it is almost over. It looked like it was over at halftime, but there was some salvaging. It stabilized. Real Madrid, Man City, though.
Once they didn't score, there was no salvaging. They are going home.
Well, it's football. It's a lot. A lot can happen. 1-1 between City and Real Madrid. Coach, let me start with you on this one. A lot of people believe that Real Madrid would lose at home to Manchester City in this game. They didn't. I thought it was...
They believe that they will lose at the Bernabeu.
Yeah, most people thought Man City would dominate Real Madrid at home and beat them. Most people feel that based on Real Madrid's form, again, which is wrong to assume, that based on form, they won't do well. City were the superior side. De Bruyne, a good goal, great Real Madrid team goal and all, but tactical patterns that caught your eye in the game. I saw Camavinga play at left back. I thought that was interesting, but it looks like he covered himself in a lot of glory. He played a good game. What are some of the interesting passes that caught your eye from that game?
To be honest with you, it's the best I have seen in recent times. Two teams of the highest quality. Yeah. This reminded me of when that Pep Guardiola Barcelona team, when they were playing against Man United in Rome, and then the one they played against Chelsea, the Macalessian 1-1. Look, it was up there with the very best. I think tactically, Ancelotti knew. I mean, he showed that indeed he's one of the best in the business. He knows how to win the Champions League. And for me, the Real Madrid team, take it or leave it. They've already guaranteed Champions League football through the La Liga for next season. But they've switched off. They've checked out of the La Liga. So now they're looking at the cup competition. We saw what they did some few days prior to the game against Man City. What Ancelotti needed to do, he needed to establish a pattern. Are we going to press the ball high up the pitch? Or we'll do medium, low block and then get Vinicius Juniors and Rodrigo to exploit the spaces in behind the Manchester City backline. And for me, I was happy when I saw that it was not a high press. Because the Bernabeu is that big. When I say it is that big, it's the fullest of measurement that you can have of a football field. So when you go pressing the ball high up the pitch and you are bypassed, there's no recovery for you. You will suffer. So he acknowledged the opponent that this is what they are good at. The one thing he did so well was to block the supply to Erling Haaland. And look, Miami Nipa, my one and only Rudiger, showed on the day that if it's about staying glued to Erling Haaland, making sure that he understands. You see, Rudiger first tackled with Haaland, reminded Haaland that if he misbehaves, he will go for 6 months. So by doing that, anytime the ball was given to Haaland, he had two thoughts. In attempting to control the ball, he was worried about where Rudiger will be. And Rudiger reminded him on all occasions that he was there. So Erling Haaland couldn't turn. And that made it very difficult for the Man City team to go to more or less create in the 18 of. So look, it was clear. I was telling those I was watching the game with, if Man City are going to score any goal, it has to be a long range. And that's exactly what was exactly what happened. Because
right from outside
there was no way. And Alaba, and then Camavinga, and then Cavaya is an experienced chap. He's been there with Real Madrid over, and anytime they've won the Champions League, he's been there at right back. Look at Alaba. He's shown that indeed he's one of the best left back, turn into a left centre back who understands the game. But again, the Man City team too, at some point in time, I felt that they were overly pushing it too much. And you could clearly see the frustration in the face of Pep Guardiola. There were times his arrangement of the players on the pitch, he wanted Kevin De Bruyne to stay on the right. De Bruyne, who is the protagonist on the pitch, rather than on the Camavinga side, nothing was given him, so he needed to change. In fact, if he had listened to Pep, he wouldn't have equalized the goal. Because if you look at Pep, he kept telling him to come and play with Bernardo Silva. Because the problem was that they knew that
They wanted to overload that side.
Yeah. Because Vinicius Junior will not come back.
He's not coming back.
And the Walker too, and it was like Bernardo Silva 1v1 against Camavinga was not working. And on the left hand side, there was no way Grealish was going past Cavallaro.
They had quite a banter.
You understand? So Pep wanted him to drift far right and put more pressure on Camavinga. But he also saw that even when he look again, this Modric guy,
Luka Modric.
look, he's shown that if you take good care of yourself, age is just a number. Because he had not played for like 2 weeks, but he came in there.
They say he was supposed to be out.
Oh, that's
for
actually
like
not fully
a
fit
month.
for that game.
Yes, he was not fully
He
fit.
came back in 2 weeks.
But look at the 70 minutes he gave. Absolutely brilliant. In Ketia, the tide is not over. Of the two coaches, Pep is the most worried. Do you know why?
Why?
It's simple. You listen to Courtois after the game. It's a final game, and we normally do win final game. That is the mentality.
Ancelotti also even said that.
Yes.
He says if his players can play like they played at the Bernabeu, at the Etihad,
They'll win it.
it's a wrap.
Because look, they are used to that situation. Man City, they've only gone past this stage once in their entire career or in their entire life history. And they are to beat the owners of the tournament or of the competition. So psychologically, look, there'll be so much pressure.
You could see the relief on his face when the De Bruyne goal.
Oh my goodness. You could see.
But you know, City have not lost at home in Europe for about 4 or 5 years.
If there's any team in the world capable of doing that,
Real Madrid.
it's Real Madrid.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's a good statistics to go and defend.
This is their chance for me.
Is it?
Their
No.
best
This is
chance.
their best chance.
Yeah,
No,
but
don't
there's
get me wrong.
A team to also stop them.
Don't get me wrong. When your best chance is coming against the best in the business, then you must be worried that your best chance may slip away. There's that possibility. The best chance they've got is coming against the best team in the competition. In the competition history, Real Madrid is the best. So in that second leg, if Ancelotti, like he himself said, stick to... Look, I think if I have my way in that second leg, he shouldn't start with Toni Kroos.
How do you start that?
I'll put Tchouameni alongside Valverde and give the old man
Luka Modric.
the freedom to roll. I think if he were to do that, they will not only lure Man City onto them, but that will create enough space for Luka Modric to be passing the ball very high up the pitch. You see, when he's in that typical number 10 role, and he's passing the ball in the opponent's half, that is where he's most dangerous. You see, with the outside of his foot, those sort of sweet swing passes will punish every opponent. Look, there's everything to play for.
Yeah.
God bless the day UEFA canceled the away goal rule. Yeah, because look,
I know.
it has added some spice to the tournament. Because Real Madrid, I mean, they are going to the
They would have been
Etihad.
more worried by now.
They would have been more worried. So there's no need to change the game plan. On the side of Man City too, there'll be no need to change whatever game plan you believe you can help you qualify. So we are in for a treat. I can't wait for Wednesday, God willing. We'll all be alive and we'll witness football at its very best.
For a treat. Let me take Nathan's thoughts on that. I'll come to Susu and Pichichi on the Milan derby. Nathan, 1-1, finally poised. Pep says that he likes their chances. Ancelotti says that we'll wrap this up at the Etihad. It looks like a game of masters. I mean, for me, it was intriguing just watching the tactical battle going on the sidelines. React, change, react. You know, Ancelotti even pulling a surprise by playing Camavinga at left back. Pep might have expected it. He might not have expected it because it had happened a couple of times. Yeah. For you, what are you looking at going into that second leg? And based on what do you think, which team is a favorite?
And I like what Chris said. Chris made a point about Pep Guardiola being the more worried of the two because he has to force the issue. He has to get a win against Real Madrid. They have to manage their emotions. Last season, I always say Man City got KO'd not because they lost that second leg.
No.
They got KO'd because the first leg ended 4-3.
Exactly.
And you could tell that was a result they did not want because it meant that Real Madrid had a way back into the encounter. And we all know what happened. So I think that it will be down to a number of things. I think Pep needs to figure out how to get Erling Haaland going in that second leg. Because we saw in the first leg that Rudiger had his number. And if Rudiger has Erling Haaland's number, it means that Man City will have to adapt and try and get somebody to score the goals for them. It means De Bruyne has to create, he has to score, has to be all over the place. Yeah. And from what we saw, De Bruyne moving all over the place to try and find space just tells you how well drilled Real Madrid were on the night. They were defensively solid. There were portions where they backed off, had a 4-5 in front of their box, and really kept Man City at arm's length. So City will have to try and see how they can get De Bruyne and Haaland to find those spaces, especially Kevin De Bruyne, play in the half space, try to see if he can get Haaland going. But Haaland has to think about Tony Rudiger. Yeah. How does he deal with a player who is very physical, but still has enough in the tank to match him in terms of pace and all of that? So that's the first riddle Pep Guardiola has to solve. It's a very, very important riddle that he has to solve. Now, what does he do, especially at right back? When things are tough and Bernardo is not getting the better of his man, what does he do? Does he pull De Bruyne out? Does he tell Kyle Walker, go and help your man? Especially, and that's a gamble because you know that if Vinicius gets behind Kyle Walker, we all know what's going to happen.
He's not catching him.
He's not catching him. The pace is there, and it could cause a massive problem for Manchester City on the break. So I feel that those are the things Pep Guardiola needs to solve. How much of a gamble should he take as he's chasing a place in the final? How much restraint should he put on himself and keep his team in the tie? Because Real Madrid, like we've seen, you don't win how many Champions Leagues in the last 4 to 5 years? They've won, what, 3, 4, I believe?
4.
Whatever.
Zidane did a triple, and then the treble,
and then Carlo. You don't win that if you are a bad team or a team that doesn't understand how to pick moments. And Real Madrid will get those moments. They will get those opportunities. Once Vinny and Benz combine once, twice, the third time the ball is in the back of the net, you may not even get a third chance. Once, twice, they are scoring. So I feel that that's where City will have to be very careful. I kind of disagree with Chris when he says Cruz shouldn't start the second leg. I feel that without Cruz, Real Madrid don't have a bit of control. And sometimes you need it.
Yeah, I think there's a decision.
I get your
to
point.
Be made
there is a decision to be made. And I've seen Real Madrid fans argue and say, when they play Cruz, yes, there's control, but there's no bite. But
you have to
sacrifice something.
It depends on the game state.
It depends on the game state. I feel Toni Kroos allows Real Madrid to stay in games, allows them to calm down, allows them to play at a certain tempo. And then when the chaos starts to degenerate, throw in Tchouaméni because he's young, he's energetic, he can make things happen. So I feel Carlo will still trust Kroos enough to play him in that position, especially when Man City are likely to press in a front two of Haaland and De Bruyne because Bernardo and Grealish will take care of the fullbacks. So if you have Kroos pulling deep, that's a 3-on-2. That's a quick way to bypass the press and then on they go. So I feel Carlo will have those questions too to answer. How much defensive responsibility does he give to Vinicius on the day?
Yeah. Stay up the field, do your business.
Let them come.
Let's talk about the Milan derby because AC Milan are letting the ODs of Inter Milan take them to school.
They've played Inter Milan 5 times.
They've lost all.
They've lost 4.
Wow. So and Inter were on a very good run. I think unbeaten in 5, hadn't considered about 4 goals.
They've picked up, but look, they've lost to Inter 4 times in a row. That's on the coach in a sense. Because if you are playing, because Inzaghi doesn't vary his game that much. You know where he's coming from.
5-2, yeah.
So they played in the cup, I think, before the World Cup, 3-0. They played the Super Cup, 3-0. They played in the league, was it 1-0?
1-0.
They played again, 2-0. Like 4 times in a row they are beating. That's poor.
I think you've got to credit Simone Inzaghi's mindset. I think his mindset in terms of like approaching games like cup games.
But I tend to agree to what Sesu is saying. If you watch all those games, it's been very similar.
Yeah, I mean,
very same lineup and all that. But
you have to adapt. I think. So don't get me wrong, but I think part of the problem is that when you lose your best player, it's hard.
Yeah,
and they scored this thing. So I was watching the game. It reached the point around the 70th minute. You see Origi's coming on. He's doing some 1-2. I thinking to yourself, if Divock Origi is supposed to be the one to save the game, with all due respect, I've watched him this season. He's struggled. You look on the bench, then there's Rebic. Then
Rebic.
De Ketelaere. I don't even remember if De Ketelaere scored this season. Like there's no quality in the team. So I feel bad for Pioli because once they got it wrong in the first half, he was not going to be able to change the game.
I see.
Because if you look at the quality of the players, I would say man for man, Inter are probably better. So if you're in a situation like that and you have to change the game as a coach, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
If they had been able to get a fast start and kind of scored,
Yeah.
and maybe if they had scored one more goal because Leao is coming back,
But I
would
also
say
think that
they'll still be in the game. But as it stands, I don't see them scoring. Maybe they'll get 2 and go to extra time and penalties. But to score 3 goals for me,
You don't see it similar.
I also think that the emotion of playing in the derby got to the Milan coach. But for somebody who had lost 3 on the bounce against the same team, if you look at the start, it was too electric for my liking.
Yeah.
But you thought it was too quick.
Very, very quick.
At a very quick, electric
Tempo.
pace.
and I have to say, I think the goal rattled them. And
Yeah, it was too open from the beginning.
Under 10 minutes.
Corner kick, bam.
you concede from a corner. I think they were rattled because the second goal, the tracking on that second goal was so poor.
Mkhitaryan had a full
The- the-
It was. There was so much.
Mkhitaryan completed the 3rd man run. You get it? So
Yes.
the sequence is why what's the name? DeMarco,
Yeah,
right?
DiMichael.
Brings it in. Lautaro Martinez dummies the ball. And there you see Mkhitaryan running
But you
through
see,
the
on
middle
goal
of
and all
part
the
of the
pitch.
problem is that the game plan, when you have Benacer playing as a number 10,
Yeah.
gives you 3 midfielders. Benacer gets hit, and he looked at the midfield options on the bench.
I see.
And I don't think he was convinced. I don't think he wanted to bring Pobega on. And that's where the squad depth comes in. So he decided that, okay, let's go with Junior Messias to come and play on the right. And that's another part of the problem because even when they were getting chances, creating opportunities, I believe that if you watch AC Milan this season, they've had 2 credible attacking threats.
Theo Hernandez.
No. As in terms of the attacking,
Okay.
Leao and Giroud.
Giroud, yeah.
Every other attacker, they are making up their numbers. They come to do
See,
cardio.
there were
Strasbourg
AC
is very
Play
inconsistent.
my
Yeah.
boy De
AC
Ketelaere.
AC
But
Milan.
when you see
they
Chelsea,
get
you
that.
see, it's not about the coach doesn't seem to trust him, and when he does play, it doesn't go well. I think he still has a future at the club, but it will take time.
Well,
So that's my point I'm making. Because of the lack of quality, when they went 2 goals down, it was always going to be difficult. Okay, now Leao is going to play in the second leg, per the reports. But is there enough
How fit will
firepower?
he be?
Yeah, and is there
and
enough?
also that mental block they have to deal with. I think that if you keep beating your neighbor over and over and over, automatically it gives you some
But
sort of
I don't-
advantage.
but you see-
Yeah, and you have that sort of belief. I think Inter at the moment will have all the belief that
Yeah,
yes,
they feel like they
I
can-
don't-
this
I don't even-
is an opponent
I
that
don't
we've
even think
beaten
that-
already.
I don't
We
even
can
think
beat and all
the
that.
mental block is that bad because last season we beat them every time we met.
Yeah.
So for me,
And now it has switched.
beating them is not going to be an issue. It's just that we
Qualifying
won't be
over
able
them.
to qualify. I don't think so. If we win 1-0, I won't be surprised. If we win 2-0, I'll be a little bit surprised.
And I
If
also
we win
don't think
3-0, I
defensively-
won't believe it.
Yeah.
Inter will go the whole 90 minutes
Without scoring.
No, yeah.
that's the-
There's enough talent up
Let's
front,
talk
yeah.
about Premier League. There's a big game. Big game. Man United Wolves.
Oh,
That's
maybe
a
you
big-
won't.
Coach, relax.
How is that a big
It's
game?
a big game, whether you like it or not.
United, we have conceded 8 goals at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
25 of the first, out of the 8, 2 came in the first game at Old Trafford. Wolves throughout the season, they've scored about 10 goals away. We have scored close to 30-something goals away.
Citi,
Well,
We'll beat them good.
who wins this game?
well, I think that the fact that Liverpool is just behind Man United will spice up this game, and
We can afford to lose and win the next 3.
It's not wrong.
yeah, and also the fact that Wolves are not really relegation threatened makes this
Anymore.
game a little bit quite
Oh, it's
good for
a
United.
payday.
Yeah, because
Payday.
once you, if Wolves were in a relegation fight, then I would have expected them to come to Old Trafford with so much
they'll
aggressive
get
and all
beat.
that. But with this, I think United have the advantage, and with the fact that yes, coach is saying that they can choose to lose and all that, but I don't think that Eric Ten Hag will love to drop points.
That's
at
not to
this
say we're
moment.
going to
straight
lose.
loss.
We
We'll
are
not
winning
to drop
tomorrow.
point at this moment.
Absolutely mad.
They have all what it takes to win this encounter, and I think that United, I'll be surprised if they drop point against Wolves.
Can I be contrarian
Please do. I need it.
and say that a relaxed Wolverhampton Wanderers team could be dangerous? Because you see, what are they? They've
nothing to
secured
play for.
safety.
Yeah.
So they can say
they
that
want to come in and
they can
cause
say that,
havoc.
you know what? Let's end the season well. Let's
At
go
Old
to Old
Trafford.
Trafford and go and cause
End the
problems.
season
They will beat them good tomorrow.